Welcome to Tasty Tuesday on the Sun Devil Fitness Complex YouTube page. I'm Jennifer with the Nutrition Educators, and today we're going to be learning how to make loaded veggie pot pie. This is what you'll be making. Let's get started. The ingredients are 2 pre-made pie crusts, 1 to 2 tablespoons butter, 1 medium yellow onion chopped, 1 garlic clove minced, 8 ounces mushrooms chopped, 1 frozen bag of mixed vegetables, peas, green beans, corn, or whatever you'd like, 1 frozen bag of mixed broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots, an 1/8 teaspoon of salt, an 1/8 teaspoon of black pepper, a 1/4 teaspoon of thyme, a 1/4 teaspoon of rosemary, an 1/8 teaspoon of tarragon, a 10-ounce can of cream of celery or a 10-ounce can of cream of chicken, 3/4 cup of milk, 2 ounces cheddar cheese grated, and 2 pats of butter for topping. Let's get started. Okay, first thing we're going to do to make our loaded veggie pot pie is we are going to preheat the oven to 425 degrees. All right. Now I am going to heat up my pan. So I'm going to put it between medium and low. You don't want it to get too hot because then it'll burn the butter. Okay, I'm going to chop my onion. I learned a new way to chop an onion today, so we're going to test it out. You take both of the ends off. Put it flat down. Cut it in half. And then this makes it nice and easy to peel. And then we're just going to kind of follow the lines on the onion. And then kind of do a 90-degree turn and then chop through it again to make a nice dice. And you can just kind of do a rough chop through. Take your fingers, put it at the tip of your knife, and then guide it through with your other knife. Then I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons of butter in my pan. There's little lines on the butter, and it'll tell you how many tablespoons is each. So I'm just going to cut off 2 and unwrap it. Okay. So my onions are all chopped. I've got my butter melted down in the pan over medium heat. So I'm going to add my onion first. And then Hawa is going to add 8 ounces of mushrooms. This is just going to be your standard pack of mushrooms that you'll find in the produce area of the grocery store. It's usually in the refrigerated area where you'll find like the lettuce and the carrots and bell peppers in that section. Next I'm going to chop up my garlic. And the recipe calls for 1 clove of garlic, which means I'm going to put 2 in because I like garlic. Alright, and to get my garlic out of its peel nice and easy, I put the knife flat down on the clove and with the palm of my hand, crunch down. And it peels right off. And then you're just going to cut off the stem area. And I'm going to do just a rough chop through this garlic. Again, you can just anchor the knife with one hand and follow it through with the other hand until it gets to your desired size. And then I'm going to add my garlic in. And we're gonna let this simmer for about 2 to 3 minutes until you see the mushrooms start to cook down. While Hava is stirring this up for me, I'm gonna use some butter to grease my pie dish. You can also use like an olive oil or a butter spray, but just regular old butter will work just as good. And what you do is you just it's kind of like you're using it as chalk. You just kind of rub it along until you see it has a nice smooth layer. Okay, so now it's all set. And I'm going to take one of my pie crusts from my package and put it on the bottom. Most of these packages, they come with 2 crusts, and it's because it's for pie, and a lot of pies have a bottom and a top. That being said, if you want to put like a cookie crumble on top of some pies, that's totally okay too. Tastes delicious. But yeah, usually these come with 2. So I'm going to take one, put it on the bottom. You can also make your own crust. I'm not very good at it, so I always buy my own, and I feel like it tastes just as good to me. But if you're great at making pie crust or you want to try and attempt it, go for it. It's a mixture of flour and butter. And just plop it right in there. And then push it down so you have all of the edges coming up to the glass. Okay, so this has been cooking for about 5 minutes now. So we are going to add 3/4 of a cup of milk and then 1 can of cream of celery. And it's a 10-ounce can, technically 10.5. But I just get the Campbell's little cans. That's what we're looking for right now. You can also get store brand. It's usually like 50 cents cheaper. Tastes exactly the same. And when you're measuring with the cup, you kind of want to put the line up to eye length so you get an accurate measurement. I'm going to pour that in. And for our cream of celery. Now we are going to add our salt, pepper, and our herbs. So it calls for 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. Remember, you always want to go easy on your salt in the beginning because you can always add more later, whereas if you put too much in the beginning, you can't take it out. And another 1/8 teaspoon of pepper. I'm going to go easy on that one too. You can put more in later if I'd like. We do have a lot of herbs that we're using for this recipe, so they're going to contribute to most of the flavor of this. So we are going to use tarragon, and then thyme and rosemary. I got these near where the mushrooms, the sliced mushrooms are at the grocery store. They come out to either anywhere from $1 to $1.99, and these are fresh herbs. And if you wrap them in a paper towel after you use them and put them back in this container, they can last for up to like 2 weeks. And you're just going to kind of pull against the leaf and stem, and the leaves just kind of fall off. Just going to run our knife through until it gets nice and small. And what I made was about a whole teaspoon. So I'm just going to take like a pinch of this and put that in. This tarragon has a really strong flavor. You don't want to go overboard. Then we are going to do our rosemary and our thyme. They both call for a 1/4 teaspoon. Thyme is these tiny little leaves. They're probably the hardest one to get off. It has a great flavor. And then we'll get some rosemary. Rosemary, again, has a really strong flavor, so we don't want to go overboard with that. Rosemary you might see in roasted potatoes or Brussels sprouts. So there goes the thyme and the rosemary. Okay, now that we've got our herbs in, we are going to mix our vegetables in. And Howard, didn't you just do an episode about frozen veggies?
So I didn't just do it, but it will air soon.
Okay.
And basically I'm just talking about how frozen fruits and vegetables are a lot cheaper than fresh produce, but it also can have more benefits than fresh produce because frozen produce is harvested when it's super ripe. It's in its like peak ripeness. Whereas fresh produce is often picked when it's not ripened and then it's transported, so it's losing the nutrients over time. So yeah, but ideally you want both a mix of fresh and frozen, just adding a lot of different types and a variety of everything is ideal.
And where can we find where you're talking about that?
So Eat Healthy, Stay Wealthy is my weekly IGTV program on the livewell_ASU Instagram page, and I post different tips for eating well on a budget, and I try to incorporate a lot of produce and share some recipe ideas.
Check her out on Eat Healthy, Stay Wealthy. Alright, so we've got our frozen veggies in here, and like she suggested, we have a nice mix of frozen and fresh. And my last ingredient is going to be my cheese. This calls for 2 ounces of cheese. So this is an 8-ounce package. This is kind of like the standard shredded packs. This has 8 in it. So basically a quarter of this. Just like no one should ever tell you how much garlic to use, no one should ever tell you how much cheese to use. You don't need that kind of negativity in your life. I'm just going to throw it in. So this recipe, all of these veggies have different vitamins and minerals and antioxidants that help your body perform all of the chemical reactions that occur to keep you healthy and strong and going. So this one is just a really balanced one. We have lots of different colors in there. That's a kind of a good way to go with your veggies, just to get all of your minerals, vitamins, and chemicals. Just kind of eat every color you can find in the rainbow, and that'll give you a nice balance. You can also add chicken or crumbled beef or bacon, pork, whatever you like, for a little bit of protein. But you are going to get protein in this already from the cheese, the milk, the cream of celery, and the butter. A little bit of the butter. Okay, so this is simmering for about 5 minutes. I'm going to take it off the heat. We're going to pour it into our pie crust, and then we're going to top it with another pie crust. Sorry.
That was like the perfect amount.
Alright, we're just going to flatten that through. While Howard does that, I'll unroll the pie crust. Lay this on top, and then kind of pinch the pie crust together at the end. And you'll notice because of the steam, it's kind of a little bubble. So what you do is just on the top, you make a little X. And that allows steam to go through while your pie is cooking, so it doesn't destroy the top of your pie. And the oven is preheated. We're going to put this in there for 20 to 25 minutes. I'm going to do 25 because this is a pretty stuffed pie. Okay, last stop. After we pull our pie out of the oven, you're just going to rub a bit of butter on top. Just for a nice, flaky, buttery texture. Keeps the crust from being dry too. So this is our final product of our Loaded Veggie Pot Pie. Thanks for joining us today on Tasty Tuesday on the Sun Devil Fitness Complex page, and be sure to join us next week for a little Valentine's Day treat. Thanks, bye.